So here we have Lara, right?
Yeah.
So she is the doctor of psychology and she is from Gender and Psychology Lab and who is from Spain. And she's belongs, I mean, her expertise is social psychology at the University of Granada, and her main research focus on analyzing the psychosocial variables associated with women's decision-making process, as well as the consequences for their well-being. So, especially, she will address the decisions that women face in relation to work and family. So, this leads them, in most cases, to have to decide between sacrificing one domain in favor of the other. So, now she is going to talk on the title Investigation Group Psychology of Social Problems.
Okay, thank you so much for the presentation.
Yeah.
If I cannot share my screen if you
Yeah.
are.
And now you are the host.
Yes,
Can you
but
check it now? Yeah.
okay. Now can you see my presentation?
No.
I think that you need to finish to share your screen previously.
At the bottom of the screen, okay, are you able to see new share? Can you check now?
Yes, now, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm sorry for the inconvenience. Okay, morning everyone. I am Laura from the University of Granada, a city located in the south of Spain. It is a pleasure to participate in the WEL 2020 conference. My presentation is titled Gender Role and Decision-Making Process. I am going to explain how gender roles can affect women's decision-making process, and the works that I am going to show you have been carried out together with the Dr. Francisca Esposito, a researcher expert in the gender topic. Well, I am going to show a general background before my studies. So, according to the latest World Economic Forum report, which analyzes the gender gap in 156 countries, a global gender equality index of 68% has been achieved. Specifically, Spain ranks 40 out of 156 countries with a gender equality index of 78%, which is above the world average. Even though Spain has a high gender equality index, the gender gap is evident in different spheres, the most significant of which are typically male sphere, that is, the politics and the work sphere, as can you see in the percentage. Because it's my main object of interest, I will focus on analyze what happened in the work affairs, that is, with professional women. As you know, specifically, this inequality is reflected mainly in part-time work. Women represent the high percent of part-time workers, with a consequence that is entailed for them. Although women are more qualified than men, they do not have the same opportunities as men has. For example, when women have the possibility of promotion, they anticipated greater negative consequences, such as having to make sacrifices or even conflicts. Which is the main reason for this sacrifice or conflict? The family responsibilities. That is, these sacrifices and conflicts are triggered by family responsibilities. Okay, now I am going to show the theoretical model that will help us to explain the behavior of women in this sense. This model is called the stereotype counter model, and it was developed by Susan Fix. According to the model, people in a group are categorized based on a combination of two dimensions. For example, the first one in this case is the competence. The competence refers to the characteristic associated with the ability to achieve goals. For example, and in the other sense, we have one, a dimension that refers to the characteristic associated with interpersonal relationships. If we have into account gender roles, men are associated with more competence and low harm, while women are categorized as more warm and less competence. If we look at gender, is it the women group that is more affected by social evaluation? Specifically, women who transgress gender roles, such as feminists or working women or professional women, are negatively evaluated. Which is the main reason? The main reason is that they are perceived as highly competent and not very warm. So, for this reason, they are considered a threat to the main group. Sorry. On the other hand, we have homemakers. In this case, homemakers or housemaker are evaluated positively for their lack of competence and high ground. That is, they stay in their position, in the social position, and therefore are not considered a threat to the main group. So for this reason, women have to choose between work and family. But when they have this situation, they usually invest or decide to go to the family because it's women make fewer risky decisions. For example, not to move away, or for example, they make decisions more related to prosocial behavior, that is, help to others. Additionally, they make more interdependent decisions, and lastly, as consequently of all this process, they should or they decide to invest more in the family domain. So one of the best variables that can explain the difference between men and women in the decision-making process is the fear of negative evaluation. This emotion is a negative emotion that refers to the thought that people experience when faced with the sensation of being negative evaluated. Specifically, the most interesting point in this case, and in the case of professional women, it has been shown that women with a greater fear of negative evaluation decrease their participation in typically male domains, such as decision making or even leadership position. So I am going to explain now the main works that I have carried out with my colleagues. The first work that I am going to present is called Spanish Women Making Risk Decisions in the Social Domain the mediating role of femininity and fear of negative evaluation. You can find this work in a scientific journal that is Frontiers in Psychology. So in this paper, you can find all of the details of my work. This study consisted of a not experimental study in which participated male students from the University of Granada with an average of 22 years. 67% of the sample was female. And in this study, we measure gender role through a variable that is femininity. In this case, people have to describe whether they have traits related to caring for others. And next, participants completed the measure of fear of negative evaluation. And finally, in this study, we try to bring the decision-making variable closer to the social context. This measure, in particular, consists of six items, such as consider moving to a city far away from the family, or even speaking your mind about an unpopular issue in a meeting at work. Okay, the result of this study showed that women are the ones who internalizes the trait associated with caring for others to a greater extent than men, which tends to increase their fear of being socially evaluated, and as consequence, they limiting their decision making in the social context. In conclusion, this result reflects that when gender roles are activated, women are more driven by what they should do, highlighting the prescriptive nature of gender roles. Okay, and in relation to the last study, we was thinking about what happened with the well-being of these women. So in this case, in this psycho work, we evaluated the consequence for the well-being of these women. And as I just described it in the previous work, you have or you can find this work in a psychologist journal. In this case, is the current psychology journal. So you can find in Google Scholar. Okay, so in this study, is in a different from the another study, we base it on general population with an average age of 42 years and a 57% were women. Okay, as in the previous study, participants answered to the femininity measure and to the measure of fear of negative evaluation. In this case, they were then asked to write down a decision that had a significant impact on their lives. We also asked them a measure of regret in decision making. And finally, they answered to the two most important measures of subjective well-being, that is, subjective happiness and life satisfaction. Okay, the result showed that, as in the previous study, women are the ones who internalize to a great extent the traits associated with caring for others. This tends to increase the fear of being socially evaluated, which in turn tends to make them feel a higher regret for the decision, which in consequence decreases their happiness and their satisfaction with their life. In conclusion, it has been observed that when gender roles are activated, women are more driven by what they should do, and they tend to regret it later, with the consequence that it has for their well-being. In addition, the results showed that women perceive their decision to be more difficult than men. And the most difficult and important decision were work, in this case, and family for women, but separately for the group of men, the most important decision were work. In more detail, we find that a 16% of men decisions compared to 7% of women were related to changing or leaving a job to improve work conditions. On the other hand, we found that 1% of men decisions versus 9% of women were related to changing or leaving a job to stay with the family. Finally, only men made decisions related to moving away from the family for work. In conclusion, we can observe that women seem to have to decide between work and family, giving priority to the family in this case. On the other hand, it seems that men are clear about their priority, that is, work in both cases. So finally, I will summarize the main conclusion of my studies. The first of one, women are guided by gender role in this case. So the decision-making process is guided by the fear of negative evaluation, making decisions according to the gender role, that is, caregiver. In this case, women can progress professionally, but they always are thinking about their family. In the second case, we can obtain the conclusion that women focus so strongly on other people that they neglect themselves, as we can observe in the regret measure and in the well-being measure of my last study. And the last one conclusion, or general conclusion, is that having to choose between work and family makes them feel more regret than men, which affects their well-being in great extent. So we can finally with the idea of the topic that nowadays gender socialization still determines the life of these women in our society. That is, it's affecting their decision and therefore their professional development. So we have to consider that women can progress or can increase their presence in the public sphere, that is in the work sphere, but they have the social pressure of gender role, that is they have to care of other in this case. And this is my presentation of all of my last study. And if you can looking for another studies, another related with the decision-making process, or another interesting point in gender topic, you can reading more about the research that we do in my mail. And of course, if you can, or if you want, read the research on my lab page on social psychology and gender lab. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for your nice talk. And here, few clients, few attendees asked for the questions. So, and myself also have some of the questions. So, the main thing is like, what are the biggest social issues affecting your country at this moment?
Sorry, I can't listen
Yeah, I'm
to
just
you
repeating
clearly.
again. Yeah, what are the biggest social issues affecting at this moment in your country? I'm talking about
Okay,
anti-Spain.
okay. A big point in this case is that in Spain there is a increase of women that work in different spheres. But the main point that happened in Spain that is the same in other countries is that the partner don't have the family responsibilities. That is, these responsibilities are mainly focused on women. So, despite women advancing in Spain, they have in their house, on their homes, this tax that, in one sense, is like they can advance by themselves if they don't have a partner or a egalitarian partner with them. But I think that this problem is happening in Spain, but we can or you can find it in other countries that in which the gender gap is high, like here.
Yes, and one more question. So, what kind of the upcoming social issues which you are anticipating in even in Spain or even in the world? Upcoming anticipation. I'm asking. You got the question right?
Yes, I think that in general, for decreasing this social issue related to women, um we have to stop the gender socialization since childhood. So I think that the main point nowadays for a worldwide vision is the gender education in the school. If we can prevent this difference education between girls and boys, we will be able to stop the consequence of socialization in women.
So, which country did you spend most of the time and why?
Okay, I live in Granada, so this is my main country. But it's true that the last year I was in Toronto, and I could appreciate the difference between conciliation, the difference between the gender norms that they have there, the norms that the Spanish people have in their houses. So I live in Granada, in Spain. That is my main country, but I share the vision with the Toronto because it's my second house.
So, how do you think the global warming also have an impact on the social issues?
Sorry,
Yes, I'm just
there
repeating.
is a lot
How
of
do you think? Yeah,
noise. Okay.
how do you think the global warming also have an impact on the social issues in current days?
Okay. I think that this is a big question. I think that maybe the most important thing is give relevance to women. Try to give them a high position in society. For example, in leadership position, political position. Because, for example, in Spain, there is there is not a women in the government, or when a women has occupied this position, she has received a lot of negative evaluation. So I think that in general, the world must be give more power to the women to prevent this social issue.
And do you have any like a specific message to the society about your research and the conclusions? Your
Okay.
advocate. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, I would like to know that, or to say that not all results are negative for women, that we women have to consider that themselves are important too. That is, we have to care our family, but we have to care ourselves. So this is the message, and the message is that if we have a egalitarian partner or a family life will be better. We are not alone in the way of family. So this is my final conclusion, I think,
It's
more or
really
less.
nice talk. So
Thank you so much.
I request like the rest of the speakers as well. If you have any questions, you can ask, and the platform is open right now. You can ask.
Okay.
We have Fetso, Anand, and Melaine, Simon, and Jana, and many. We have many speakers. So this is an open forum. If you have any questions, you can ask, please. Even the honorable keynote speaker Kiani as well. If you have any questions, you can ask, please.
Okay. If now you can write to me by email if
Yeah,
you
that's
want to
correct. Yeah.
see whatever you want or whatever you want to know. Yeah.
Yes. I'm just going to give. Yeah, you can see some of the speakers given their Joyce Johnson. Nice presentation, Lara. Very well
Thank you so much.
explanation. Yeah. Anybody else? Any questions, please? Okay. I'm going to share the certificate at this moment, and so yeah, here. So you're able to see the screen, right?
Okay, yes, but I want to send Nivedita because there is a mistake in the title of my presentation
Sure,
because
sure.
because the title is my group of research and not my title of the presentation.
Yeah, that's fine.
So,
We will change, and you can send it. Okay.
okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.